Hello and welcome to the Guest EdTech Virtual Summit Dubai. Thank you for joining us. We're pleased to introduce you to Professor Abhilasha Singh, Vice President for Academic Affairs at the American University in the Emirates. We hope that you enjoy the session, and over to you, Professor.
Thank you, Denny, for this wonderful introduction, and good evening, good morning to everyone who is joining from different parts of the world. At the outset, my sincere thanks to the Global Educational Supplies and Solutions for organizing Guest EdTech Virtual Summit and providing us this wonderful opportunity to learn and connect with the various stakeholders in the education sector. We all are aware that COVID-19 has brought an overnight revolution, and in just a couple of days, the universities were, I should say, forced to shift to remote teaching. And that is why I strongly believe that this pandemic became a source of educational disruption, and that's the topic for discussion today. In the next 20 minutes, I will be presenting some of the key aspects of digital disruption in higher education, the challenges and the way forward in digitalization. Thank you once again for giving me this wonderful opportunity. There is no denying fact that education's future is digital. I should say that we all are witnessing that the traditional university model has been disrupted by the pandemic, and it has compelled the universities to transform and optimize to avoid struggling with their operations. Competition is increasing rapidly. The typical educational methods, as we are witnessing, is not getting enough engagements in online learning. The goal of the university is now to figure out how to manage the change, how effectively this change can be managed and work towards excelling in this sector. It's interesting because as one of the study which has been conducted, we are noticing that 42%, which is 4 out of 10 college students, they report using at least 2 or more devices during an average school days. So globally, the use of mobile data has grown 18 folds in the last 5 years. Lastly, in 2019, probably it is estimated to that there are 1.5 billion mobile users per capita. That is a total of 11.5 billion, exceeding the world population of roughly 7.6 billion. So amazing figures. What it means is that the traditional role of classroom teaching, the traditional teaching resources, traditional campus operations, we all are thinking that it is going to be soon obsolete. It will become obsolete, and probably it will give a way to a more open source of learning, maybe like edX, People's University, Coursera, LinkedIn, Udemy. These are just few examples. And I also think that blended learning has become increasingly important. The question comes then, where is the problem? And we can see that the problem probably is in the quality of education, the quality of content, the learning methods, increased competition, maybe procuring funding. But the most predominant problem is what should a university do to manage the change, and how effectively they can manage these changes, so that not just to survive in the sector, but also to excel. We all are noticing that recently the restrictions are easing slightly. There is a need of blended learning system and a need to address the related challenges of upskilling and reskilling the faculty, utilizing more innovative approaches, facilitating student to instructor relationship, student to student relationship, like we have in our university peer mentoring, where students are mentoring students, but it is becoming a little challenging, and student to content interaction. So all assessment and exams conducted online, it has to follow a strict academic integrity process, so that to ensure that no compromises are made when it comes to the quality of the degree issued. So for sure, we all strongly believe that the conventional methods are going to change. The one thing which I strongly believe is either you disrupt or you get disrupted. So the digital transformation or revolution 4.0 is more than just the technology or application of technology in higher education. It has become a goal for the higher education institutions to adopt some new ways of working, so that in order to constantly deliver quality education to the digitally skilled students, I should rather say that digital natives. And one thing which is very important is the ethical use of technology. So that's also very important. I mean, it's sometimes when you look at the data and the reports which are there, it's interesting to note that worldwide e-learning market is projected to be worth $325 billion by 2025. And if you look at these data, you can see that what percentage of population is using the internet. And I mean, the first figure you can see it is till 2017, but this one is till 2019. So institutions in higher education, they are facing a long overdue change, I should say, when it comes to digital transformation. And this transformation is it does not only include the conventional method of teaching, I mean, and delivering the knowledge. It's basically much more beyond that. It includes the source of learning of students. It includes other competitive advantage. And I'm showing you some of the data where you can see that, especially the data from GCC country, you can see how it has affected during COVID-19. And this data from school to higher education, and I'm quickly taking you through to some of the studies. I mean, this is just one of the quick survey which was done by AACSB, which is one of the programmatic accreditation, which comes under the banner of CHIA. And you can see that, I mean, 69% of the respondents, they had no prior experience of online courses, and with no prior experience, then definitely reskilling and upskilling is required for both faculty members as well as for students. Now, some more data which has come up is the short-term impact and the long-term impact of COVID-19 on education sector. Things are changing. I mean, this figure was very interesting when I noticed first time on 7th of April. And when I noticed just a couple of days back, you can see that the millions of people who were affected. And now you can see that, yes, there is a silver lining. Now, what I want to show, and what is the reason to show you such data, is that higher education is definitely affected by this pandemic. Different countries, they implemented different policies related to education, so that they can deal with the issue of pandemic. But needless to state that while the aim of those closures was to avoid any kind of exposure to the virus throughout the institutions, this also had a widespread socioeconomic implications as well. And in fact, I was reading one of the report. I will come to my study in a while, but I was reading one report of World Economic Forum. They appreciated the way Middle East universities have responded to this crisis. And there are ample reports indicating that no prior experience with online education, yet they have done a great job in this transformation. So they, in a couple of days, they just, it was a good transition, a smooth transition to remote teaching. So with this background, my intention was to study the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on higher education in the UAE. And I just focused on higher education. And I wanted to determine what kind of impact it is having on higher education, especially in UAE. And the responses and inclinations of educators and students towards educational disruption. So what I did, I applied mixed method research. I collected data from both educators and students with the help of closed-ended questionnaire. Also, some of the semi-structured interviews I utilized. And I observed that while a successful transition from the conventional mode of teaching was made to remote classes, but an important question is still remained unanswered on who was challenged more, and if ever the perception towards online education in this part of the world will ever change. Now, the findings of the study made it clear that educators face no difficulty in using and managing online classes. There were different methods used. I will come to those points in a while. But despite the fact that only 48%, 48.78, which is basically 49% of the educators had the previous experience of online teaching, but the transition was a smooth. So, however, the study revealed that the student faced difficulties in taking online courses, online classes, due to lack of appropriate expertise, you can say, or additional underlying cost for the online courses. In many cases, they were joint family, and many of them were using. They were having limited devices, and they had to share the devices. So there was additional cost, underlying cost for online courses. There was lack of self-motivation, self-regulation, and this was all hampered also by sense of isolation. So one thing was clear, that appropriate online learning applications are required, and different methodologies should be used by educators to address these difficulties of the students and to effectively deliver the online courses or online lectures. Now, with this, let me share a little bit more about digitalizing higher education in the Middle East. And I can say that a lot of e-learning platforms have been developed in many countries in the region, like in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They had AIN, and which is the National Education Portal, AIN, which has become the main channel of education for more than 6 million users. And this education platform has provided 30,000 devices for economically weak students during the COVID-19. Reports also mention that in Tunisia, Morocco, and Bahrain, operators have provided free access to online education platforms. Some pre-existing distance learning platforms were also utilized in the Middle East, such as EduNet in Bahrain, e-learning in Kuwait, and in Oman, Ministry of Education channel in Qatar, IEN portal in KSA as well. Alif Education and EduShare came to rescue during the lockdown learning, as has been also reported by UNESCO. And in a study conducted by QS World University Ranking, they took the survey of 400 universities, and they found 94% stressed on the importance of one-to-one online meeting to sustain during the crisis. So again, the question comes that, digital transformation, yes, it is there, but why is digital transformation a challenge in the higher education sector? So while we know that this transformation, digital transformation is a process, that is increasing by leaps and bounds. But we also know that, in future, probably machine learning, we are hearing machine learning, artificial intelligence, it will perform 42% of the task hours in the workplace by 2022, in just a couple of years, compared to 29%, as has been reported by World Economic Forum. And it was also reported that 75 million jobs, if I'm not wrong, will be displaced, and another 133 million new jobs will emerge. And the higher education sector, all HEPs, all higher education providers must be prepared for it. So the other challenge faced by the higher education institution is to prepare the next generation university, Generation Z, probably, which will eliminate the traditional learning models, traditional theories. And with these transformation comes the use of new technology, new application, and new theories. Again, are all the HEPs prepared for this big change? It's not just the sector, but in the world as well. And if they are prepared, so how much they are prepared, to what extent they are prepared. One thing what I noticed, and I will just probably share in our university as well, there's a difference in completely transforming and optimizing the process. So I also think that sometime reinventing the wheel is not required. We can improve the existing operating processes and align the institutional priorities and resources accordingly. So most of the universities, they already have learning management system. We also have the learning management system, and it is working very well, extremely well. We have our own software developers. We don't have Blackboard or Banner, which are quite popular, but we have our own learning management system. What we have done, and it's just sharing that we started from making keeping the digital transformation as one of our strategic priorities. We came up with digital learning policy. We started having like advising process, engaging the industry, conducting the advisory board meeting with the industry. All was basically now digitalized. So the entire process. So it was not complete transformation. Rather, I would say that it was optimizing the process. The personalized, there was a lot of focus on differentiated and personalized learning, where a lot of one-to-one learning, one-to-one session was also conducted with the help of our guidance and counseling center, especially for those students who are having certain learning difficulty, for special students. So those were some of the things. So I also feel like optimization is very important. It was COVID-19. It gave us a wonderful opportunity to optimize our digital processes. So that's what I wanted to stress here. One of the classic example in UAE, we all know that there is no denying fact that world leaders, and specifically the country leaders, they are the beacon of change and the higher education process across the globe. And one of the classic example which we witnessed was in March 2019, when Sheikh Mohammed Rashid, the Prime Minister of UAE and the ruler of Dubai, he announced that a new generation of schools will be built in the UAE at a cost of AD 1.5 billion. And these schools will include like labs for machine learning and artificial intelligence. Now, while my focus is on higher education, we should never forget that the transition from a school to higher education needs to be smooth as well. So this aligns with both the UAE's national strategy on innovation, as well as the UAE's national strategy for artificial intelligence, which was first of its kind in the region, and indeed the world, I should say, where education has been identified as the priority sector. However, artificial intelligence in the education sector is not just about what students are taught, it is about how they are taught. So the practices, the procedures in effective digital transformation in higher education is also important. And this is one of the pertinent point in how educational institutions, higher education institutions will be leveraging digital content, students' engagement, their experience, quality of education. And this especially calls for attention of governance of any higher education institution and their quality assurance and institutional effectiveness policies and procedures. It's very important. Just to focus a little bit more on digitalizing in the Middle East higher education institution, I also feel like, bringing faculty and students on the same platform, most of the universities, they did that. So whether they are using Blackboard or they are using Blue Button or they are using MS Team, we were using MS Team. And then for the coursework, we started using Responders, the lockdown browser. So any of the learning management system which are being utilized, there should be some process to assess that. And I just found that using Deloitte's 5 pillars of digital maturity framework assessment was something which was of great interest to us as an institution, where they are assessing strategy, the operations, the technology part, the culture part. So the culture, the people, the organization as a whole. So these are some of the KPIs should be related to that, so that the digital maturity framework assessment can be utilized. In the higher education, what I have noticed that there are all these points. Any of the higher education institutions, any of the higher education providers, they try to achieve these all points. They want very impactful knowledge transition. They want collaboration with other universities, collaboration with the industry. They want to have digitally rich learning resources. So they want to achieve all these points through a clear strategy. And this basically comes back to discuss like what is the way forward now. So if we look at the way forward, I personally believe that accreditation needs to be aligned now with the changing nature of higher education. Probably some of the standards are going to change. The quality assurance must be the primary focus of any accrediting agencies, not the mode of delivery. Maybe it can be online, it can be distance learning, or it can be face to face. But the quality education, of course, will be probably some new standards will come up. Continuous assessment, reflection journals at the end of any class, meeting learning outcomes, meeting the mission of the students' entry into education system could be some of the criteria to measure the quality of education and the scale of and scale the growth of learners. Teaching and learning evaluation and improvement, probably that's also very important as per the need of the learners. And lastly, institutional effectiveness, resourcing and planning. These must be thoroughly analyzed by the accrediting agencies in order to elevate the digital learning experience. For example, MIT and Columbia University's model of open pathway could be the best role model to follow. That's what I think. Some other point is related to like our differentiated and personalized learning system is needed. Instead of focusing on major and minor, I strongly believe there should be more emphasis on the mission of the students, and this must scale periodically. Given the multifold nature of the digital learning, it could probably fulfill the student's mission, provided it keeps in mind its affordability, accountability, and sense-making ability. Now, credits to be assigned not according to the number of hours, but by the learning which can be demonstrated by the learners. Providing digital platform for learners so that they can it can exhibit very creative products to the world. Having a strong, and I'm sure these in some of the conferences, guest conferences, I have seen some of the very good applications which they have demonstrated. But that's the future now. Strong data infrastructure combined with the analytics. Analytics is also the right kind of analytics is going to be the future, and the communication tool so that we can enhance the competitiveness. At any time, I feel like when things are undergoing rapid transformation, the physical classrooms probably will give way to the digital ones. To some sense-making skills will guide futuristic learning model. And I also believe that the global can't ignore the local. That's something very important. So being local is the need as well. I also feel like there will be a lot of co-teaching with leading international scholars. With this remote teaching or distance learning or online learning, we got a lot of opportunity to collaborate with leading international scholars and bring them on board and have a co-teaching. So that is one point. Facilitating in students' interaction with students from different corners of the world will probably be much more easy with this digital education system. There will be a lot of administrative efficiency as well. There will be a collaborative learning model. And one thing, as because I'm also engaged a lot in hiring process, especially hiring like deans and leading like academic administrators. So I also feel that there is a need now to hire people with digital mindset and a willingness. I always I was looking at some of the reports where 2 points are emphasized: resilience and agility. So I also feel like probably these two will be the key criteria when we are hiring people. There should be a willingness to align themselves to the changing demands and remove away any existing hierarchies in the learning environment if it is existing. So developing a kind of digital culture through communication, through proper management, through continuous change monitoring, and strengthening the national research and education network across the Middle East. That's so important to promote collaboration between the research institutions, as well as the exchange of resources, as well as connecting research institutions internationally through any of like Ankabut is the UAE's NREN, which is national research and network education network. So with this constant change in the higher education providers, the HEPs, probably they will focus more on getting professional courses, which is the future. It's not just about getting a PhD and teaching the students. The higher education providers could constantly invest in learning new ways of teaching. And teaching and monitoring the learning of the students as the technology is constantly changing. I mean, recently I came across a platform called KEDX, which is QEDEX, where they are offering a lot of professional development programs for the faculty members. So that's what I think that will be the future. A problem that needs to be addressed is lack of face credibility given to the online education. So for sure, in the past, we have noticed that educational institutions and even the government all across the world have questioned the authentication of such degrees and program. They never took it seriously, but now the time has come to probably revisit such kind of degrees. It's high time when the government can join with higher education institutions across the world and take some serious steps so that the online degree and distance learning platform can be governed properly and can be treated as full-time degree as like any other face-to-face degree. So universities will be investing heavily in their digital platform and developing online campus and infrastructure. I also feel like a lot of focus will be on quality education rather than investing heavily in the physical campus with this digital transformation, because it's crucial for any of the university, any of the higher education providers to maintain, to improve, and to bridge the gap with the stakeholders, with the industry. So and of course, not to neglect that they are going to invest a lot on research as well. There will be online campus, centralized library, shared resources, and that's the future. So in summary, what I have discussed today was the introduction to 4.0, how the COVID-19 has impacted the tertiary education, much needed digital transformation, because COVID-19 basically compelled us to, it compelled us to immediately move to digital transformation. And as mentioned earlier, digitalization is the way forward. It's a very good statement which was given by Saul Berman by IBM, that the next 5 years will be more disruptive than the last 15. This is not business as usual. A lot of technology that came in 3 years ago doesn't work anymore. So I also feel like higher education institutions, they have to take, there is no option now. They have to take some necessary steps to ensure the longevity of the institution and to take some steps to improve quality education. So COVID-19 has introduced us to a major disruption, and we all know that protocols like safe distancing, I mean, it is going to stay longer than expected. Hence, this is the time for creative destruction, I should say. So let few things go, and so that we can give more space to create some new things. So I always say that let few things go to create others. So on this note, I thank you all for listening to me. Please do not hesitate to contact me at vpaa@aue.ae. I'm the Vice President for Academic Affairs. This is my ID, and I look forward to any questions if there are any. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor, for this very interesting and insightful presentation. If you have any questions pertaining to the session, you can find Professor Abhilasha's details on the slide in front of you, or you can connect with her through the networking system on the virtual event platform. We'd also love to hear from you, so feel free to share any thoughts or comments by sending us an email to marketing@guesteducation.com. We'll be on social media as well during the summit, so if you want to chat to us there, follow us on Twitter @guesteducation and use the hashtags #guestedtech and #guestdubai. This is just one of many on-demand videos that you can watch at any time during the summit, as well as a full program of live keynote and panel sessions across both days. We hope that you enjoy the rest of the event. Thank you so much, and bye-bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.